Welcome back to the Library Choice YouTube channel. In today's class, we are going to learn how to make this beautiful cowl jacket with collar. It has a cuff on the sleeve and the collar runs through the neckline. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. This is something you like to learn. Kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. So this is like a cocoon jacket. There are several ways you can cut this. I'm going to show us one of the simple ways you can do it. So this also have a collar. So I'm going to be cutting the jacket first before cutting the collar. So for me, I don't want to have seam on my shoulder, so I have folded my fabric into 4. Okay, once the fabric is folded into 4, you'll be able to avoid that shoulder seam. So assuming this is my fabric, so the first thing I did was to fold like this lengthwise. Okay, the total length that I'm working with for this project is not a 12, it's going to be a little bit long. So the total length that I have here is 43 inches including seam allowance. So what I made sure to do was to measure 43 inches into 2 so that I can fold it. So after folding it, you have 43 inches like this and then 43 inches like this. I hope you understand this. So that's folding into 2 first, then I folded again into 4. So the measurements that I'm going to use for this is going to be my shoulder measurement plus my sleeve length. That's how long you want the sleeve to be. So for this, my shoulder measurement is 16 inches divided by 2 is 8. Divided by 2, remember we have put it on fold. Now we have folded it. So now this is 8 inches. The next thing is to decide the length of your sleeve. So for me, I want the length of my sleeve to be around 21 inches, but it's going to have a cuff, like a 3 inches cuff. So I'm going to deduct that cuff from it. So whatever I have is what I'm going to mark as the length of my sleeve. So I hope you understand how the folding is done now. So like I said, it's very simple to make. So let's just proceed to cutting the jacket. So I'm going to mark my jacket neck width. Okay, I don't want it so wide, so you can work with 3 inches, 3.5 inches or so. I'm using 3.25. that is the width that I'm working with. It's going to be an open front jacket, so the front neckline neck depth is not really important. So for the back neck depth, I'm working with 1.5 inches. You can also use 2 or 1 inch, depending on what you want. So now I'm going to go ahead and connect. So like I said, I don't want to have a seam here, so I'm not going to be doing any shoulder slope. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to come to this side for my sleeve opening. That's the opening that I'm creating. So depending on what you want, if you want to gather a little bit into the cuff, you increase the measurements you're working with. So for me, this is how I'm taking the measurement. So if it's taking like this, I have about 14 inches here, which on fold will give me 7 inches. So I can add 1 inch seam allowance to that because I don't want it too big at the same time. So I'm just leaving it at 8 inches. I measured that from my starting point, which is here. This is where my measurement stops. So let me just chop this off later so that you will know this is where my sleeve measurement stops. All of this I'm going to cut it out. So now this is where the sleeve opening is stopping. I hope my camera is capturing it. So that's where my sleeve opening is stopping. The next thing is to shape this to form like a cocoon jacket. So here I'm just making sure that that place is obvious, and then I'm going to come in by around 1 to 1/2 inch so that it's going to be different from other parts of the jacket, and then I'm going to be able to shape it out easily. So now for me to shape it, I'm going to come to the hem of the jacket, and then I'm going to work with my hip measurement here. So the hip measurement that I'm working with is 46 inches divided by 4 is 11.5. So from my center front here, I'm going to mark 11.5. So like I was saying, on the hem here, I'm going to mark 11.5, which is my hip divided by 4. So I'm marking that here. If you want it, if you don't want it so penciled, you can even increase it. So after marking the 11.5, I'm going to add my seam allowance to that. So the next thing I'm doing is to connect from here, which is my sleeve opening, all the way to the in a curved way, just like what I'm doing here. I'm going to connect it to the hem, and that is all you need to do. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out first, so that we'll have something smaller to work with, and then you're not going to get confused. So I'm cutting the front and back together by the side because it's going to be the same. So after cutting it out, I'm going to separate my front and back so that I can shape out the front. Okay, so here is my sleeve opening as well, so you can see the shape that we have here. Then for the neckline, I'm going to cut my back neckline. So after cutting the back neckline, I'm going to separate my front and back. You can notch the center so that when you remove it, it's going to be like a guide for you. I did the same thing on the hem, so that's going to help me to arrange it back. So after removing it, this is my back. So I'm going to lay the front on the table again so that we can cut out the neckline for the front. Remember, the front is going to be opened. Okay, so you can see now this is my back. I'm holding it to the scissors so that it doesn't shift, and this is the front. So for the front now, I'm going to connect from this neck width all the way to the hem. Remember, for the hem, my hip stops here, and then I have my 1 inch seam allowance. So I'm going to connect to where my hip stops so that I will have enough to join the front and back together. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain there. So now from my neck depth here, I'm connecting all the way like this. So after connecting it, you grab your scissors again, and then we are going to cut off what we have marked here. So like I said, it is very simple to make. It's that simple. You don't need to do so much. So after cutting it out now, I'm going to go ahead and join the side first before we continue with the collar. You can also sew the collar first if you want, but for me, I'm going to just place the front and back together and join it by the side on both sides. Okay, so I've gone ahead to join it by the side. So this is what I have. So now I'm going to mark out where my collar is going to start from. So for me, one collar is longer than the other if you check the front very well. So for the long one, I'm going to be using 14 inches as length for that. You can notch your shoulder points, but the fabric that I am having has something, has a joining on the shoulder. You can see this weaving part, so that's why I'm able to see my shoulder points. But because of the way it is folded, assuming my fabric does not have this, you are not going to see anything here. It's just going to be, everything is going to be on fold. You are not going to see anything. So for you to see it easily, you can just place a notch on the shoulder point. So from there, I'm marking 14 inches, okay, for the long part, which is here. So for the other short part, I'm going to deduct 1.5 or 2 inches from that. If I deduct 1.5 from 14 inches, I will have 12.5. So I'm stopping it on that point. So now, to know the amount of collar that you're going to need, I'm going to mark from here, which is the 14 inches. Then you connect it through the back. Then you go back to the other side of the front, which is the 12.5. Okay, so here I have about 37 inches for my collar. So I have already cut out my collar, and this is what it looks like. So I ironed it. I have 3 inches on fold here, so I've ironed this so that it's going to be easy for me. And then the length of this is about 38 inches. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and close it up on the 2 edges so that it can be neat. You sew it and turn it out. So after sewing it, I'm going to start from the long part. You can start from anywhere, the long part or the short part. So I'm just going to place it like this, and then I'm going to sew it all around to the other side. So after doing this now, for the collar, for the curve as well, I have gone ahead to cut out my curve. So I just measured my round sleeve, which is around 10 inches here. You can see that my hand can easily pass through that. So if you are using the stretchy fabric, it's even better. It will make it easy for you to wear, and then it will be firm. But if you want it to be firm with this type of fabric, you can put buttons so that you can wear it easily. I'm not putting buttons for mine, so I've already cut out my collar. I said I want the collar to be 3 inches wide, so you can see I have 3.5 inches here, so that I can sew with 1/2 inch, and it's on fold as well. So I have ironed it. This is for the 2 collars. So I'm going to sew this round the hem of the collar as well. I'll do this and bring it back to show us what we have. Okay, so now I have sewn in the collar. You can see this is the short part and this is the long part. So to the long part, if you have this fringe, this long fringe, you are going to sew it. You can even turn it together with it before turning it, so that the fringe is just going to be dangling on this side. But this is just a tutorial. I'm not going to be adding any fringe to mine. So now you take this to your sewing machine, to your weaving machine, and then you serge it all around so that it can be neat. So where your collar stops, you can clearly see the allowance, the 1/2 inch seam allowance that is already there. So that 1/2 inch is what you are going to use to hem it all around the remaining part of your front, then your back, and then back to the other front. So once you have serged this, you can just hold it once and sew like this, so that you can have everything neat, and your jacket is ready. So I'll hem it now and take it to the mannequin so that we can see what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. So I just cut out the leftover fabric just to show you what it will look like with a fringe, but you should get a fringe if that is what you want, so that it can be more beautiful. Then by this side, on the side seam, you can just gather it with elastic, that's if you want, or you gather it manually, so that it can give you that effect by the side as well. But I'm leaving mine like this. So this is what it looks like on the back. As on the side, you can see the cowl that we have by the side, and this is what the back looks like with the collar. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beautiful, as you have seen. I hope you enjoyed making this with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and I will see you in the next one.